Hi everyone. Okay, today I want to run through a few films of the director Frank Perry. I think he's probably best known for doing 1968's The Swimmer, starring Burt Lancaster, and I'm saying that mainly because I know that film is quite widely available on Blu-ray. But yeah, I just want to run through a few of his movies, so here we go. Now, Frank Perry definitely got off to a great start in 1962 because he was nominated for an Academy Award for his very first film, as was his wife, Eleanor, who wrote the screenplay. This is David and Lisa, and this is a black and white film, and it stars Keir Dullea, perhaps best known for being in Stanley Kubrick's 2001. And it co-stars Janet Margolin. And this film is set inside a mental institution, and David, the character played by Keir Dullea, is sent there by his rather overbearing parents, and he's a character who cannot bear to be touched. He thinks that if he's touched, then something quite terrible will happen to him. And whilst he is there, he gets to meet this character, Lisa, played by Janet Margolin, and her issue is that she's incredibly shy and introverted and only really communicates by rhyme. But gradually these two very different and exceptional characters manage to form a bond with each other. And it really is a fascinating drama, this one. So as a first feature, it's incredibly assured, and it does have some great visual moments as well. There's a sequence that involves a clock where David has these nightmares and he imagines the hands of a clock sort of chopping off people's heads. Yeah, fascinating film, this one, David and Lisa, an incredible first start for Frank Perry. His next film from 1963 is equally fascinating. This one is Ladybug, Ladybug, not to be confused with the Ken Loach film Ladybird, Ladybird. What we have here is a film that's inspired by the Cuban Missile Crisis, and it's a nation that's very much at edge about the thought of nuclear war. And the film is focused on a school, and at this school they hear this alarm that possibly signifies that a nuclear attack is about to happen, and they don't know whether or not to take it seriously. This is a very rural school. They're right out in the middle of the countryside. This is a big farming area, and so the teachers decide that they must take this seriously and they must try and escort the children home, and so they venture onto this journey of taking some of these children along country roads to try and get them home, all the time not really certain as to whether or not this is a false alarm or not. Yeah, really intriguing film, this one. Yes, it stretches credibility at times, but it's also really thought-provoking. And as the film goes on, it gets a little bit more into sort of Lord of the Flies territory as we get towards the end, with how these children react to the events that are going on. But yeah, fascinating film, this one, Ladybug, Ladybug. Surprised I hadn't really heard of this one before, but I picked this up at the Kino Lorber sale a little while back. Yeah, really intriguing film. Then in 1968 we have what I would suggest is his most well-known film, and that's The Swimmer, starring Burt Lancaster as the character Ned Merrill, based on a novel by John Cheever. This film is available on various Blu-rays, such as through Indicator, so that's why I think that most people who are physical media collectors will probably know this film. But yeah, exceptional film this. This is the first film that I saw that introduced me to Frank Perry, and it's just such a fascinating and haunting film with Burt Lancaster playing this character Ned Merrill, a troubled man who decides that he's going to swim home via his wealthy friend's swimming pools. A really odd and unusual journey, but one which enables him to confront his past with all the various women from various stages of life that he encounters along the way. Really fascinating film, this one. I love watching this film. Yeah, it's one that you can just return to time and again. It's such a haunting film and a fantastic performance from Burt Lancaster. Now, I want to just gloss over the 1970 film Diary of a Mad Housewife, just because it's been quite some time since I've last seen it. But that is a film that you can currently get on Blu-ray via Indicator and possibly others. So yeah, you can check it out that way. But I want to move on to the 1971 film, which is Doc. And this is a Western, and it covers some of the grounds around the gunfight at the OK Corral. And we have Stacy Keach as Doc Holliday, and the great character actor Harris Yulin. He's getting a really good role here as Wyatt Earp. And then also we have Faye Dunaway in this film, the first film that she did for Frank Perry, and she's playing the character of Katie Elder. And this is a really interesting character dynamic Western, so a little bit different to some of the more traditional Westerns that cover the gunfight at the OK Corral. But yeah, certainly a great character focus on Doc Holliday, played by Stacey Keach, and Wyatt Earp, with a fantastic performance from Harris Yulin. So yeah, I do find this one an interesting Western. Sure, perhaps some of the other films about the OK Corral have surpassed it in terms of legendariness, but yeah, Doc is definitely worth seeking out if you haven't seen it. And in 1972 we have an excellent film which sadly is not available on physical media at the moment, and I really hope that changes because it's really good. The film is Play It As It Lays, and it stars Tuesday Weld and Anthony Perkins, and it has a script by Joan Didion. And we're back in mental institution area here as well, because Tuesday Weld plays a Hollywood actress who is going through a mental breakdown and recounting episodes of her life that led her there. Anthony Perkins playing a sort of gay Hollywood agent who is her friend. Interesting in that both Tuesday Weld and Anthony Perkins had worked together before in 1968's Pretty Poison, but the roles were reversed in that film, because in that one Anthony Perkins was the sort of mentally disturbed guy who had escaped from an institution and encountered Tuesday Weld, who was the more normal character, if you like. That's a really good film too. But yeah, Play It As It Lays is just a really excellent drama, and gorgeously shot as well by Jordan Cronenworth, a cinematographer who worked on films such as Cutter's Way and Rolling Thunder and Ridley Scott's Blade Runner. Okay, and I do just want to gloss over another film, which is Rancho Deluxe from 1975, starring Jeff Bridges. Again, it's a long time since I've seen that one, so it's not fresh in my memory. But I want to move on to 1979 and a film called Dummy, starring LeVar Burton and Paul Sorvino. Now, I did do a video on my channel quite some time ago. Not too many people watched it, but it was about the late 70s career of LeVar Burton, a black actor who really came to prominence in the role of Kunta Kinte in the legendary TV series Roots, and he followed it up with some really interesting films in the late 70s which have mostly been lost to time. Some of those films aren't available on physical media, one being Billy, Portrait of a Street Kid. You can get Dummy, however, on the Warner Archive collection if you seek it out, and it's a really interesting drama because LeVar Burton in this one plays a young lad who is mute, and he gets arrested for a crime. And a lawyer who comes to his defense is played by Paul Sorvino, but his character is deaf. He only has partial hearing, and he's losing that. And so he has a very limited amount of time to actually try and defend LeVar Burton's character before he goes completely deaf and then loses his ability to make speech. So yeah, a really intriguing drama, this one. Definitely worth seeing, but yeah, not widely available. And then finally, I just want to talk about this one from 1981, which is Mommie, Dearest, which is about the life of Joan Crawford, the Hollywood actress, and adapted from the memoir of her daughter, Christina. And this one has Faye Dunaway returning, having played Katie Elder in Doc in 1971. Here she is playing Joan Crawford in a really fantastic performance. But this film was treated terribly at the time of release. It was badly reviewed, and it received a whole load of Razzie Awards. And it really devastated a lot of people at that time. So Faye Dunaway, she really thought that she was perhaps going to get an Oscar nomination for her role, but was ridiculed for a lot of what seemed to be overacting. And it's a film that she's been uncomfortable to talk about since. And also the daughter of Joan Crawford, Christina, she was troubled by the reception this film received as well. So it's, yeah, a very troubled film, this one, but it is an excellent film, and I really detest the fact that it's been mocked so much. It doesn't deserve it. Joan Crawford absolutely was quite an extravagant Hollywood character, and we definitely get a sense of that in this film, and definitely we get a sense of her mental struggle. And so yes, there is a lot of outrageous outbursts in this film, which does look a little bit strange at times, but in the context of Frank Perry's filmography, where he's tackled a lot of characters that are going through mental health challenges, it does not seem out of place in that respect. And yeah, I think this is an excellent film. I do think that Faye Dunaway is fantastic in the role here, and yeah, this is a very worthwhile film. It does have some troubling scenes. There is scenes of abuse in this, and yeah, clearly she was a woman who wanted to have a child. She adopted a child at a late age after her success playing Mildred Pierce, which was a role that was very dear to her heart, because it was about a woman who was going from nothing to something, very much as Joan Crawford's childhood had been like. Yeah, but clearly, although she adopted this child, she was not a woman who had full maternal instincts, and so her daughter Christina had a very troubled life. So yeah, this is a film that conveys a lot of that, and it does have a lot of outbursts. Unfortunate that a lot of people perceive that as being overacting, but no, I think Faye Dunaway really captures the essence of Joan Crawford in this, and I think it's a great role for her. Definitely a fantastic and interesting film, one worth seeing. Okay, I'll leave it there. There were other films in Frank Perry's career, but I don't really want to talk about those ones particularly. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on any of those movies. Have you seen them? Any that you want to see? Thanks very much for joining me on this video. Hopefully I will see you again. All the best to you. Thanks. Bye.